I've been working through the Epilogue of Hammurapi, looking at the grammar in that epilogue, and we have done 5 parts to it, and now we're working on the 6th part. The title, if you would like to follow on, actually you could go to Google Books and find the written PDF. It's called A Short Inductive Akkadian Grammar, based on the Epilogue of Hammurapi's Code, with biblical parallels to the Hebrew Scriptures and with New Testament application to Christ. That can be found on Google Books. What I'd like to do now is to pick up where we left off and continue doing some more lines, looking at each word grammatically, if you would like to follow me. We stopped basically, I believe, on line 3, and this is in column 48, line 3. He has asked, Hammurapi has asked that his name would be remembered in kindness forever. This is his request. So then we pick it up in verse 3, and it reads, Awilam hablum, sha'awatam irashu, ana mahar salmiya shar misharem lilikma. Let me just go back and lilikma and just translate that. Anadad would be forever, may it be spoken. That's where we stopped on the last taping. Then we continue. Awilam hablum. Awilam hablum is from the noun awilum, that is a noun in the nominative singular, and hablum is an adjective, nominative singular, meaning wrong. So notice both end in which is indicative of your nominative case. So the words are rendered a wrong man, and then as we continue to move on, sha'awatam, who a cause, irashu, who has a cause of complaint. Notice sha is your relative pronoun who, and it's followed by the noun awatam. And if you notice, awatam, the is indicative of the accusative singular ending. Would be nominative, genitive, and accusative. And so watam means a matter. So it reads, if a man, a wrong man, who has a cause or a matter. And notice irashu, notice the form is a G present subjunctive from rashu, meaning to have a complaint or to have a claim. Notice the U ending indicates the subjunctive here, and also it's preceded by sha in the previous line. And so that's how we know that we're looking at a subjunctive in the G stem. So it's a G present subjunctive from rashu. Then as we move on to the next verse, notice it reads on, after that statement, awatiya shu, excuse me, I need to go back, I skipped a line here. It goes in line 6. Ana mahar salmiya shar misharem lilikma. Notice ana mahar means literally before. It's a preposition rendered before, and salmiya is the noun salmu, meaning image. And notice it's followed by the I, which is indicative of the genitive, and anamahar then is taking the genitive. And notice ya is your personal pronoun suffix, my. So my statue. So before my statue is the way it reads. And one of the things that's interesting is King Hammurapi is representing himself by an image. And it is significant as we look at the Hebrew scriptures. And one of the things I'm trying to do is do a parallel with Hebrew scriptures. In Genesis 1, mankind is made in the image of Elohim, in the Tselem of Elohim. Hence, humans are placed as God's representatives on earth, which shows the high dignity of humankind, of man, created in the image of God over against the animal world. And so there's an interesting parallel in the word Tselem. Then we move on and notice it says, before my statue as Shar Misharam Lilikma. In other words, let him come as King of Justice. When we look at Shar Misharum, here we have a noun and construct. Shar is from the Akkadian word sharum, meaning king. And notice Misharim is in the genitive case with the im ending. So what we're looking at here is a genitive singular noun from Misharum in construct with shar. Again, the im is indicative of the genitive case. As I look at this construction, my mind thinks about the Hebrew again and how two nouns can go together, like Sar Shalom, for example, in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5, Prince of Peace. It is interesting that also in Isaiah chapter 11, verse 4, Yeshayahu 11:4, Messiah, Mashiach, will decide with mishor, with justice for the lowly. And as a Christian minister, I believe this will have its ultimate fulfillment when Christ returns to reign as the final Shar Misharim, that is, the final King of Justice. Then we move to the verb in verse 8, Lilikma, let him come. In other words, before my statue, as King of Justice, let him come. This is an interesting verb. It is a G precative injunction here. Third masculine singular from the verb alaku. And notice the precative is parallel. As I look at this, alaku meaning to come. Let him come. And the A has dropped, the A has doubled here with the two L's. And what we're looking at is then a G preterite third singular, and it's a weak verb. And what we had historically, it seems, would have been something like lu, lik, becoming li, lik, with the lu becoming li, and alik becoming elik, with the A assimilating into the L. And the ma here is your conjunction and. So the wrong man is to come before Hammurapi's image, knowing that he is the King of Justice, and he will receive just help from Hammurapi's rules or laws. And I think it's very striking to me that a parallel again of Isaiah 11 is significant in its application to I believe, again, as a Christian minister, to Christ's just kingship, which I take Isaiah 11 to be a prediction, anticipation of. For example, it's also interesting in Hebrews 11:6. The Lord, it says, Esten kaitois etse tous enauton mistapadates genetai, which is the Greek we would render also to those who seek him. Speaking of Christ, he is a rewarder who come to him through his finished work. So it is interesting, these parallels are striking to me, especially as I seek to look at it through the lenses of the New Testament as well. So then as we move on, in line 9, it reads, Narui Shatram Lishtasima, my stela inscribed, let him read, or let him read my inscribed stela. Notice Narui is the Sumerian word stela that becomes Narum in Akkadian. That is the capital N, capital A, capital R, capital U is the word stela or Narum in Akkadian. And the I suffix is the first personal suffix of the first person pronoun my. So the word Narui became Nari with the circumflex accent over the I, with the UI becoming long I with that added I suffix. So we would render this my stela inscribed. Let him read my stela inscribed. And notice shatram is the adjective from shatru, meaning inscribed, which has an am showing the accusative case, as we've seen just above, in the accusative case. So let him read my inscribed stela. One of the interesting verbs here is lishtasima. Lishtasima is a GTN precative. Notice the li gives it away as a precative. It is a third singular from shasu, to read. So the word lishtansima became, with the tan infix, became lishtasima. So what we have here is the N of the tan followed by the S of the root assimilates, and we end up with a double S. Note that the infix tan makes it a GTN form. And like we said, there has been a assimilation from the lishtansima to lishtasima. So what is the text saying here? It's saying, let him come in an iterative or continual way. Let him read repeatedly or with frequency as needed on my stela, is what Hammurapi is saying. So then he continues on line 12, or verse 12, with the words Awatiya Shukaratim Lishmema. That is, my words precious, let him hear, literally. In other words, let him hear my precious words. Notice, as we look at this, awatiya, my words, is from the noun awatum, meaning word. And if we look at this, notice it has a long I, showing that we're looking at an accusative plural. And then we have the ya, which is the first person singular pronominal suffix. So we have the I suffix indicative of the oblique form of either genitive or accusative, and here it is accusative plural. So let him hear my words precious, my precious words. And notice shukaratim is an adjective plural from shukarum, in the accusative plural case. So it would be my precious words. The at suffix indicates the feminine plural that we're looking at here. So then as we go on, let him hear leshmima. Leshmima is a G precative, third masculine singular from shamu, to hear. And that reminds me of the Hebrew shama, which means to hear, to really give attention to. And so we have the same cognate root, and the ma then is the conjunction and in the suffix. I'm reminded of the Shema Yisrael. So it is interesting as we're looking at this form here, or at this root, we have the same parallel root in Hebrew for hear. Again, Akkadian is very, very interesting in the way that you have many parallel words, cognate-wise, related in Hebrew with Akkadian. So we move on to the next phrase, Narui awatam ikalimshu. That is, my stela, the case, let it make clear. Again, as we're looking at this phrase, notice nawia watum, we would translate my stela from narum, and then awatam is the accusative case from the noun awatum, and it means case. So let him, let make clear to him my stela, the case, or let my stela make my case clear to him. And I'm understanding likka limshu from kalamu, meaning to clarify or to make clear. A deprecative third person singular from kalamu with shu, a pronominal suffix, the shu showing that pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. And so basically what he's saying is, if you come to my stela, the case, and make clear your case, you're going to be helped. And then he goes on in 17, verse 17, Dinshu limur libashu linapishma. That is, his court case, let him see and let his heart breathe freely. So dinshu limur, notice that phrase, dinshu, is from the noun dinu or dinu, which means a case. And notice the shu, again, is your pronominal suffix, masculine singular, and then we have the verb, limur. Limur is the G precative. That li gives it away as a precative, a prefix. So limur, let him see, a G precative, third masculine singular from amaru, to see. Note that the a of this verb has dropped out, and the li prefix indicates then the precative or the injunction. His case, let him see. The thought is that the wronged man can see for himself a court case in his favor from Hammurapi's law. And I've thought about the Hebrew Bible, and especially in Isaiah 11:4, which reads, B'shafet b'tzedek dalin, v'hochia b'mishur le'anvei aretz, which we could render, and he shall judge with equity the poor, and decide with justice for the lowly of the land. So I believe there's an interesting parallel here to the case in Hammurabi and the case that we find in Isaiah 11:4, in that messianic text, which I personally believe has its final fulfillment again in Christ and points to him as the ultimate King of justice. So then we move on to verse 18. Libashu lenapishma, his heart, let it breathe freely. Notice libashu is from the noun libu, meaning heart. And with the a here, we're looking at an accusative case followed by the pronominal suffix shu. Again, one is reminded of the Hebrew levav for heart, probably meaning mind in the Hebrew scriptures. But then as we move into verse 9 to 19, Lina Pishma, let breathe freely, that is his heart, or let his mind breathe a sigh of relief. The form here in Akkadian is a deprecative, notice the li again, the doubling of the p, third masculine singular with the conjunction ma, and the verb is napashu, which means to breathe freely or relax. And I think about the Hebrew word nephesh, meaning to breathe, or to, it can mean soul. It is interesting as we think about the Hebrew Torah, that in Exodus 31:17, that the Lord on the seventh day ceased from work. And the Hebrew reads, V'yinafesh, that is, he was refreshed, or he was resouled, or relaxed. And here I think we have a same parallel root with nafesh in Hebrew. It is interesting, the rabbis said, if the Lord rested and got his soul back on the Shabbat, so to speak, how much more does one need to keep the Shabbat for rest? And as a Christian minister, I've often said I believe at least one day in 7 should be for resouling. It doesn't necessarily have to be, I don't believe as a Christian believer, on the Saturday, but it could be on Sunday or Thursday. Years ago in the church, Sunday used to be the day of rest. That has changed a lot today. So I think one day in 7, one needs to have that rest. But it's interesting that the same root is used that's used in Exodus, the same root from nafash to breathe freely, or napashu, to breathe freely in Akkadian, and nephesh, which is the Hebrew word for soul, to sort of resoul oneself. And Hammurabi, of course, is talking about his law that helps to resoul one who comes and can breathe freely, that his case is going to have a just reward. So then he continues, Hammurapi belim sharkima abim walidim. That is, Hammurapi, the Lord who is like a real corporal father. Notice as we look at this, the word belim is a nominative singular, again with and I'm thinking of the Hebrew Baal, meaning a lord or master. Shah is the relative pronoun, and kima is the preposition as, and it relates to the Hebrew keh and functions here as in a similar way, meaning as. And then abim walidim is in the genitive case. Notice the im ending of both is indicative of the genitive singular. And furthermore, abu is the name for father in Akkadian. In Hebrew, it is ab. And And then again, walidim is a G participle from waladu. Notice the vowel patterns of this G participial form in AI. It means to give birth to. So Hammurabi claims to be the real father to his people. And again, to me, it is interesting that in Isaiah 9:5, the Messiah is called Aviad, eternal father, for he will care for his people as a real father. The text speaks of a child who has been born to us, if we look at the New Testament, a son who has been given to us, who will reign over David's house. And to me, it is significant that in Luke 1:32-33, the Isaiah 9 text is applied to Christ, who reigns over the house of Jacob as the Lord's saved people, as a real father who is eternal and caring as a father for his people. So I think we need to stop here. Actually, I should add the phrase for the people. In other words, he is like a real father for his people. I believe that in adding that, we should probably stop here before we go too much longer. Ana nishi means to the people. Ana taking the genitive case, the preposition, and ibashu means is. And it is really it means to be. And notice if you look at the word ibashu is a G present subjunctive again with the U suffix, meaning to be. And it's subjunctive because it's preceded by sha in the preceding words coming up to this. That is, which is as a real father to the people. And so is a G subjunctive, third person singular. I think I'll stop there because I don't want to just go on and on and on. And I hope this is helping. And we'll put a note there and pick up in the video from that point on, beginning in line 25. If anyone would like to follow the PDF again, you can find it on Google Books. Thank you. I'm enjoying working through this Akkadian and making application to Hebrew and to the New Testament. Thank you very much for those of you that might be listening to this. I hope it's helping in some of the Akkadian grammar.